Okay, I think Procrastinator on the Bitrock account is welcome, Procrastinator.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, good. Right, if you're ready, I can do a quick introduction and we can go into the Bitrock project.
Yep, go for it.
A warm welcome to the WorldCoin Talk Spaces. I'm Glenn, your host. Today we have joining us Procrastinator, who'll be speaking for the Bitrock project shortly. But first, Procrastinator, can you tell us a bit about yourself and how you got involved in the crypto industry?
Sure. So first of all, thanks for having us, guys. Really appreciate this. It barely just started, and we already have a pretty good turnout. So really happy to see that. So yeah, a procrastinator here. I've been in the crypto space for probably about 6 or 7 years. Got started right around 2016, end of. And yeah, just basically as an investor, I think around that time, the crypto market was kind of starting to be more accessible to more average retail investors. And yeah, I kind of got in, made a little bit of money, lost a lot of money, wasn't very educated on it. Kind of rode the cycle for whatever it was at the time, and took a break for a couple of years while I kind of educated myself more when the bear market was in effect, and came back into it around 2019 or 2020, and kind of been back ever since, really. I've worked with other projects in advisory roles, also helping with some connections and contacts as well, and community management, AMAs, PR, whole bunch of different stuff. So I do have a background in working with projects, and I got to know the Bitrock team through some contacts a couple of months before launch, while they were just starting to, get to work right before they were getting to work on the blockchain. And, we kind of started brainstorming ideas on how we can make the launch as best as it can be, how to time the launch, how to strategize on, milestones, trying to get as much done in terms of milestones done before launch as we can. And yeah, here we are now. Um, I think we worked very well together, and I'm really happy to be working with the team.
Okay, great. Thanks very much for the introduction, Procrastinator. So maybe we can start with, can you elaborate on the Bitrock project and the main problems it aims to solve in the current crypto ecosystem?
Yeah, for sure. So, first of all, uh, like I mentioned, the project or work on the project started well before launch. So the blockchain was done pretty much before the launch was, and we launched with a live testnet. The project itself is a layer 2 Ethereum sidechain, and the main problems that it aims to address is, even in terms of L2, existing L2 sidechains on the market, is to surpass speed and effectiveness and scalability as well. So our block times are 2 seconds, and gas fees are near zero right now, based on testing. And we launched our mainnet on day 3 of the project. Our gas fees are around 0.501 GUI, just pretty good, I would say. And we also aim to provide a couple of unique utilities into our ecosystem as well. So there's a multi-dex swap that we are working on. The swap itself, we've just released it yesterday ahead of schedule. In terms of the functioning swap that we need for our ecosystem, in order to be able to buy and sell and trade tokens on our blockchain. The multi-chain is being worked on as we speak, and that's our main focus of development right now. It'll soon be done, probably within the next maybe a few weeks or month or so. And essentially, we have other utilities that we are partnering up with Sphinx Labs for, such as our bridge, their swap as well, which will be integrated with as well. A token launcher, a launch pad, LP locker, charting tool, airdrop tool, and so on. And those will be done in the coming few days to week or so at this point. They're nearing the end of development, and testing will start as soon as that's done. And then we'll be ready for basically the full steam ahead in terms of the usage of our blockchain once that's done. So very exciting times in the coming 1 to 2 weeks as we go. And we just secured our first exchange listing with Bitmark yesterday, and that is going to be happening very soon, very, very soon. And we have staking live as well. So our current staking APY is at 90%, and we have 40% of the supply staked, which is nuts. So really bullish to see that. There's a lot of faith in the project, which we're very happy to see. And in terms of the team, there are 5 core team members, and mostly based around the Netherlands and Belgium. I'm based in Dubai. We have a full documentation section available on our website where people can read more about all the different aspects of our blockchain, including some code as well. Our GitHub will be updated very, very soon as well. And our contract address on the Ethereum network is renounced because most of the work will be done on the mainnet anyway. So that's also there. The liquidity is locked for 6 months. So we're 2 weeks in. So we're good for now. We're just under 2 weeks, actually, probably about 10, 11 days right now. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of utilities that are also in progress at the moment from our end. The main focus is on the multi-chain DEX to get that done first, as well as our token launcher. So on our blockchain, we're going to have a token launcher where anyone who doesn't necessarily have that much experience can launch a token on our blockchain within through 5 simple steps. And basically what that's gonna, the aim of that is to increase adoption and decrease barriers to entry. So what we're hoping is, through the different promotions and marketing efforts that we're doing, that we already have a lot of devs and teams that we're going to be working with that are ready to go and that have been vetted by us. But the easier we make it generally to launch tokens on our blockchain, the more people will do that. So that's really exciting. So those 2 things, the token launcher and the multi-dex blockchain, are our main focus at the moment. And yeah, like I said, Sphinx are going to be done very, very soon with their integration. So that's exciting. And our staking has a 7-day lock time, just quickly going back to that. And once we get our mainnet rolling in terms of all the utilities being available, we will have staking on the mainnet as well. And the APY there is going to be much higher on the mainnet. So that's exciting as well. We're also going to be completing a KYC in the coming few days. The team will be doing that. And once the bridge is done with Sphinx, we are going to be auditing the blockchain and the ETH contract as well. So I'll leave it there for now, and we'll steer the conversation from there.
Okay, great. Procrastinator. You've mentioned near zero native gas fees on Bitrock. I was wondering, how is that achieved while maintaining network security and integrity?
Yeah, lots of trial and error. We can get a technical kind of analysis going, or basically more into the infrastructure aspect from the tech team, and I'll get an answer from them on that. But essentially, there was a lot of testing done and a lot of tweaking. It wasn't always, that low, but to make sure that essentially we separate ourselves as much as possible from the competition. We got it as low as we realistically can right now. And again, once the start of the mainnet at the start, or the start of the life cycle of the mainnet, there are chances it's going to be even lower because there is less congestion and so on. And it is a proof of authority, so there's going to be validators as well. with a reward for validating blocks. And right now the reward is at 0.401 Bitrock for every 2-second block validated. And essentially, just one quick thing about our multi-chain DEX, what that actually means is you're going to be able to buy tokens on their native chains. So, any token on the Ethereum network or the BNB network, and we're going to go chain by chain. We're going to start integrating chain by chain. We're going to either go with ETH first or BSC or BNB, sorry, so Binance Smart Chain. And you're going to be able to buy tokens on those chains through our swap without having to hold native tokens of those chains. So you wouldn't have to hold Smart Chain BNB. You wouldn't have to hold Ethereum. You would just hold our main Bitrock, and that's what you would pay gas in. And you would get it straight through our swap. The gas would be equalized, and if anything, maybe a bit less as well.
Okay, and you mentioned Bitrock's proof of authority consensus mechanism. I was wondering how that is compared to other consensus mechanisms such as proof of work and proof of stake.
Yeah, it's a lot more energy efficient, and it allows us to be a lot faster as well through the rewards on validation, and makes it easier to actually become a validator. Where there's obviously a few technical requirements in terms of Java or Java JDK or Hyperledger Vesu or so on. But at the same time, in terms of non-technical requirements, it's quite easy in the sense of the fact that you wouldn't necessarily need too much hardware. I mean, obviously, we need something that does support the tech requirements, but you wouldn't necessarily need super mining equipment or anything. You just simply maybe stake, or you'd have to buy a little bit of supply. The exact amount that you'd have to hold to be a validator will be determined right when we get close to everything being done, like the bridge and so on with Sphinx. We have to see what market cap we're at that point. But we will have, it would be somewhere probably around 0.4, 0.5% of the supply. It might be lower if we get to higher market caps by that point. You would have to stake it, and you're good to go. And I just got word from the tech team that there's a security update that we apply on the Hyperledger GitHub every week and so on for a framework. And for the gas fees, it's set on Genesis. Yeah, I mean, basically, there was a lot of work before launch that we had to do to actually get this to be different somehow from other L2 chains, even though the L2 space in terms of coins that have a lot of publicity and a lot of adoption, there aren't actually as many as you would think on the L2 space. Obviously, in terms of startups, kind of stealth launches and stuff, there's maybe quite a few, but I'm talking in terms of ones that have a lot of publicity. So we're fully stealth launched. We don't have any VC backing. We don't have pre-sale. We don't have a private sale. We don't have a seed phase. Sorry. So that actually kind of also is an aspect of our, kind of uniqueness in the sense of giving investors a good investment opportunity to, get in something like this quite early, as opposed to with something that launches on quite a large scale, as a lot of bigger L2s right off the bat do. They don't necessarily, or it's less of an appealing ROI essentially.
Super procrastinator. And can you give more details on how the Bitrock DEX eliminates the need to hold native chain tokens or pay gas fees in those native tokens?
It does route. There's definitely routing involved, but it's done automatically, so you wouldn't actually have to use a DEX native to that chain. But once again, it is a little bit technical, so the details on that I can also get and share with your group, and I can leave that actually in our group, and you can share with the community, because I actually think that's a very good question. I just want to mention that the tech details, again, can all be found on our website, but I will get those details for you and share them because it's a bit lengthy. So.
Okay, great. And how does the Bitrock multi-chain DEX swap work, and what are the benefits for users who choose to trade cryptocurrencies on the platform?
Yeah, so from the investment side, once again, in terms of the DEX itself, it essentially functions as any other DEX with the addition of the multi-chain layer once that's done. So you wouldn't really have to, again, hold gas fees or hold gas tokens or coins in that native gas token. So you wouldn't have to hold ETH or BNB Smart Chain and so on. At the same time, you would basically still pay the gas fees relative to those destination chains, but it's equalized in Bitrock. So we're not necessarily entirely avoiding the gas fees. Obviously, the native gas fees on the DEX themselves are near zero if you're trading on the mainnet. But if you're routing to another destination mainnet or blockchain, you would still pay the gas fees, but equalized in Bitrock.
I see, procrastinate. And can any cryptocurrency be traded on Bitrock's DEX? What are the criteria for listing a token on the platform?
Yeah, so first of all, right now we have about 5 or 6 teams and projects that are ready for launching. Most of them are utility based. There's been a lot of vetting. There's been a KYC done. There's been a proof of concept. There's been a lot of different measures that we've taken to ensure that the projects that we partner with to launch on our chain, because again, it is a blockchain, so anyone with knowledge of how to launch a project can do that, but we're making sure that the projects that we are partnering with for launch and basically giving spotlight to are ones with value. At the same time, we are making sure that we appeal to as many audiences as we can. So we do have a couple more lesser utility-based projects that we are going to be, well, not us, but we're going to be partnering with teams who are going to be launching them. But the main focus is on utility projects from our side to make sure that we're giving as much value and ease of adoption as we can. There's kind of a bit of a quote unquote utility meta kind of going on right now. We're not necessarily jumping on that, but we're making sure that the value of the projects that we bring to the community is something that resonates with the type of investors that we already have, who are already interested in utility projects. In terms of the teams themselves, we're offering them rewards, whether it's free LP, cross-chain market, cross-platform marketing. We also have rewards and incentives for them as well to launch on our chain. But of course, they have to reach certain levels of security that we set for them, whether it's audits as well or KYCs and additional measures in terms of the proof of concept to make sure that the type of projects that we do deliver with them are quality projects. And yeah, we're doing whatever we can. At the same time, we're not really rushing ourselves with working with 100 teams right off the bat. We got to make sure that everything runs smoothly first with the first few projects that we do have on our chain that we are partnering with again. And once that kind of MVP is done and out, we're going to increase the adoption and open the doors a little bit more to some of the teams that have been waiting, because we do have quite a few to launch on our blockchain as well.
Okay, and how does Bitrock ensure the security of assets and transactions on its platform, given its unique features?
Given what, sorry?
Given its unique features.
Right. So I'd actually like to refer at this point to the security section that we're going to be having on our website very soon. It has a lot of details on the security infrastructure, whether it's archiving nodes and making sure that we're good to go with the blockchain. And in case anything happens, we do have archives that we can refer to and make any adjustments. We have security patches that we're going to be applying as well. We're going to be making sure that we audit the blockchain, as I mentioned. So we're taking multiple measures, and there's going to be quite a bit more. And we have penetration testing done on our framework as well. So we're going to be making sure that there's a lot of different security measures, and all the reporting and details on that is going to be on probably in the coming few days on our website under the security section.
Okay, fair enough. And can you explain the tokenomics behind Bitrock's native token? How is it utilized within the ecosystem?
Yeah, so for the ETH, there's 4% tokenomics or tax, if that's what you're referring to. 3% of that is for marketing, development, partnerships, and so on. And 1% is for the liquidity pool. So that's both buy and sell. We do have quite a healthy marketing wallet. And at the same time, from the get-go, we set aside a certain number of tokens for exchange listings. So at the moment, we do have about 40% of the supply staked. Again, the locking period is 7 days. But at the same time, some people stake from day one, some people just staked yesterday. But overall, we have 40% staked. So we don't really consider that as locked per se, because that does become, people do have the option to unstake after the locking period. So that's one part of it. 9% of the supply, or about 10% of the supply, is dedicated for those exchange listings, partnerships, bridge tokens, and making sure that we have all the allocations we need in terms of further developments. And we have already sent a bunch of that because we have reached so many milestones. So we've already basically used a lot of that already. And again, the part of the tax that goes to that as well. And the rest of it is all circulating. So there's quite a bit of circulating supply, but right now it's actually just down to about 4% on Uniswap.
Okay, and is Bitrock compatible with existing Ethereum smart contracts, or does it require custom coding for smart contract integration?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Yeah, is Bitrock compatible with existing Ethereum smart contracts, or does it require custom coding for smart contract integration?
No, it doesn't. It's perfectly compatible. Yep.
Okay, great. And are there any plans for Bitrock to partner with other projects or platforms to increase its adoption and visibility in the crypto space? I think you mentioned Sphinx there.
Yeah, I mean Sphinx are very utility heavy, but in terms of integrating our blockchain itself, we're currently in talks with exchanges that we're already in talks with for listing purposes, but we're also in talks with them for integrating our blockchains, and news on that is going to come very soon. The entry point right now is Ethereum Bitrock, so you'd have to buy that, and then you'd have to use the bridge, Sphinx's bridge, essentially, once it's done very, very soon, to bridge your Bitrock onto the mainnet, and then use that to buy and sell whatever you want. We're also going to be integrating our blockchain with different platforms, whether it's DEX tools, DEX Screener, and quite a few different ones. But that's all going to actually come very, very quickly right after we start using our mainnet. So we want to make our mainnet accessible and viewable on as many different platforms as possible. So the key to that for us is making sure there's as many different entry points and touch points as we can have with different exchanges, so people don't necessarily just have to buy on Uniswap or whatever. They can also buy on exchanges as well, and they can keep it there, or they can bridge it. They can send directly on the network and then swap on our DEX. And they can view charting and so on, and also trade on different decentralized platforms, and also DEX tools and so on.
Okay, great, Procrastinate. And I think we touched on this earlier on, but what kind of transaction speed can users expect on the Bitrock sidechain, and how does this compare to the speeds offered by other popular blockchains?
Yeah, so typically, most L2 blockchains are not as fast as us. We've seen sometimes reported block times on one, let's say Arbitrum specifically, of as little as 0.8 seconds. But for the most part, it's actually significantly higher than that. It can actually get to 14 seconds. So for the most part, we are separating ourselves in that category, and it is quite fast. And the testing has been done before launch and also after launch. We've had a few people actually just today test the testnet and deployed some contracts, and it's all public in the chat. The results are all very optimistic and very good. We do deliver on our promises, so the block times that we do advertise are actually the actual block times. We're not really being too optimistic. We're not embellishing anything. In fact, if anything, we're being conservative, and it actually tends to be a little bit faster than that.
Okay, great, procrastinator. And yeah, you touched on the testnet there. How's that been going? Have you identified any issues or bugs? And is there any bounty programs for developers?
So bounty programs will, there may be information on that very, very soon. It's currently under discussion. In terms of reported issues, basically there haven't, well, again, since we did so much testing before actual launch, we haven't really had any publicized issues. I do believe there's a lot of developers in touch with the development team on our side directly to report any possible issues. But as far as I'm aware, currently, for the last maybe a week or so, there haven't been any issues, and we're good to go. And essentially, I don't really think we had that many issues to begin with, if any. But the results have been great, and even people are going so far as to say publicly, in terms of developers who did deploy on our testnet, that everything's working really fast. The gas fee is actually lower than what we say it is, and that's essentially our strategy. I keep saying this in every AMA. We tend to under promise and over deliver. So we're being conservative with every timeline we give, every metric that we give, and every KPI that we give.
Okay, and I noticed on your white paper the hardware requirements to run a validator node is 500 gigabyte of disk space and 12 gigabyte of RAM. So I was wondering, does this
Yep.
mean that you don't need GPU processing power? Is it done through the CPU?
No. No.
Great, so it's done through the CPU, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. And I was muted there, sorry. What measures are you taking to
Yeah.
ensure regulatory compliance given the evolving nature of global cryptocurrency regulations?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, you kind of cut off there for a bit.
Sure, yeah. What measures are you taking to ensure regulatory compliance given the evolving nature of global cryptocurrency regulations?
Yeah, so there's definitely ongoing changes to regulation in terms of security, infrastructure, or maybe even accessibility. We do have measures in place to make sure that any, any changes or significant changes in regulation are easily complied with by our blockchain. So there's no, again, there's no real worry for us in that area because things have changed in the last year or two. But at the same time, that was part of our. I mean, we're pretty conscious about that before we launched or before we, designed the blockchain. Again, I just want to mention one thing: the blockchain is not a fork. The blockchain was built from scratch. It did take a lot of time and a lot of money, and that was actually one of the reasons why we wanted to do that. Is because we wanted to make sure that the underlying infrastructure is basically adaptable to any changes that we may need to make later on in the future to comply with those changes.
Okay, great. I was wondering, are you building resources and educational, say, for YouTube and Medium articles for investors that are new to crypto or everything about the blockchain and how it works?
Absolutely. So, yeah, our GitHub repo repository is going to be updated very, very soon with the code. At the same time, we do have Medium articles, I believe, and we will continue to publish them as we have updates, whether it's development milestones or changes done on our blockchain, if need be. We do have some resources, both written and visual, on how to bridge the tokens to the mainnet, how to use our swap, also how to deploy. So there's going to be guides and there's going to be resources for sure to aid people to basically make sure that we're giving people as many tools as we can to increase adoption and making it easy for people to utilize our blockchain. Definitely, yes.
Okay, great. And I'm wondering if there's any benefits and advantages for developers when they launch their dApps on Bitrock compared to choosing any other layer 2 solution on Ethereum.
Yeah. So first of all, the average investor always tries to avoid exorbitant amounts of gas fees. So just by having lower gas fees, that already allows for that. So that's one thing. So whether it's new projects that launch on our blockchain, which we have lined up, or existing projects that have proved to be time resistant and have proved to have value that we may partner with to bridge on our blockchain as well. And there are those as well that we are working on. So we're not just targeting fresh new projects, we're also targeting existing projects that may want to bridge to our blockchain. The block times as well. I'm sure that a lot of people, um, hate it when they, put in that transaction and especially on Ethereum, and it takes, I don't know, 10, 12, 14 seconds. Or they have to pay ridiculous gas fees to speed up their transaction. And by that time, there's like 10 significant buys that already came in, or 10 sells before they could sell for a higher amount. So we're trying to limit all of that as much as we can. Whenever people put their transaction in, whether it's a buy or sell, it goes through, and within 2 seconds. Again, it may be less, and at the same time, in terms of actual teams or partnering with developers, again, we're helping them with free LP. We're helping them with different promotional and marketing tools, as well as promoting them on our socials. And we're making sure that we have value tokens that have their value utility or some value in the project, whether it's something new or tackling a problem. And all the details on the incentives that we are offering for people to work on our or deploy on our blockchain and partner with the team through value projects are going to be released very, very soon within the coming week or so.
Okay, procrastinate. And we mentioned staking earlier on. I was wondering, at the moment that will only be on the Ethereum blockchain, but in the future, will you be able to stake on the Bitrock mainnet as well?
100%. And the APY is going to be a lot higher too. Yeah. And we will have an NFT marketplace because we do recognize that there's an audience for that. And we will have NFT staking as well.
Awesome. And going forward, say over the next quarter, how are you promoting the blockchain, the native token, and the ecosystem in general?
Yeah, so over the last couple of weeks and even before launch as well, we made sure to have some long-term strategic partners in place, which we are continuing to build the base of. So we have quite a few partners already, and a lot of the AMAs that we've conducted, we have already, the parties that we did conduct some AMAs with, we did partner with them sometimes, well, some of them either before, during, or after the AMA. So again, our focus a lot of the time is on strategic marketing. We do have obviously some guerrilla marketing as well. We do have some visual marketing on different platforms, whether it's Dex Tools or Dex Screener or PoolCoin. We have a lot of that going on, and it's ongoing at the moment. We just had a campaign start today with those different platforms. We have banner ads. We also have partnerships, as I just mentioned. We have different YouTube videos, and I'm talking people with the hundreds of thousands of subscribers coming soon. We have exchange promotions. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, and we do have a lot of the marketing information that we've done, and a lot of the marketing information that we have planned available on our Telegram. We publicize a lot of it, but we also keep most of it locked under lock and key because we don't really want too much manipulation happening. We have a lot of Web2 marketing, which I can't really go into right now. It's a little bit private, but it's also under work. But that's coming into effect. I think it already did today, and will continue as well. There's a lot of different types of marketing that we're doing. We do recognize that a lot of Web3 marketing is saturated, whether the banner ads and stuff that we kind of wanted to do to stay relevant in that area and to cover that base. But at the same time, there's a lot of different projects that that solely rely on that. We don't. To us, that's just kind of more of a supportive marketing effort or a passive marketing effort. We're working with the exchange listing team that got Pepe and Pepe 2.0 listed on all the exchanges, not just one, but all of the exchanges that it got listed on, including Binance. We're working with, we partnered with Brothers Marketing, who also worked with those. So we have a lot of different measures in place to make sure that there's a lot of catalysts to upcoming growth in the marketing area and exposure and educating people. And obviously, we have resources coming as well. So it's not just marketing, marketing, marketing. We also want to enable people with tools and resources to understand what our project is about. So our website is full of resources already, and we have more coming soon as we approach the launch of our mainnet.
Okay, great. Procrastinate. Let's open up the spaces to the audience. We've got a Solidity dev here. I think, Nico, you had a question for Procrastinator. Go ahead.
No, I didn't have a question. I love everything that Bitrock was stating, everything that you had, everything that you said, and on top of it, like what a campaign it can be on the B-Rock situation. Is that her name? That whole ordeal, like that, it just fell in line. I'm just gonna shut my mouth and I'll just fall in line because that, yeah, I'll leave it there.
Okay.
Okay, great. Next up, we've got Captain Levi. You had a question for Procrastinator. Go ahead. Are you there, Captain?
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
Claire.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, can you guys hear me clearly?
Yep.
Yep, you're good.
All right. You did make mention, I think you emphasized properly on the fact that you have shorter block times. From my understanding of your white paper, you did say that most layer two um, integrations usually sacrifice one feature against another. You just made mention of Arbitrum being robust, but they also have quick block times, but not just as quick as yours. When you say you're sure of the block times that you've met and you don't want to underpromise and overdeliver, uh, when you say you don't want to over deliver while under promising, I think I'm mixing that up. But have you battle tested your block times, maybe using a process where you simulate running heavy amounts of transactions so that you can verify this claim?
Great question. So load testing was part of our testing. Obviously, it's very kind of difficult to reach the full-on levels of a fully functioning blockchain, but we were able to get close to the beginning stages of our blockchain usage. And yes, those block times have been confirmed. And I also work in IT, so it's kind of funny because I kind of do this with my own work as well. We do have test servers and we have the production or live servers as well. And you're never actually able to simulate the full-on kind of load of having a full-on live server running. And sometimes, it's important to make sure that you kind of don't have too many things going on and too many touch points right when you launch the mainnet, which is why we have a conscious approach to make sure that we're launching very few and specific things to start with and making sure a proof of concept and MVP are actually working as planned. And at the same time, we don't want to kind of prolong that process to make sure that the excitement continues and to not delay any people who want to launch on our blockchain from doing that. And people may go and do it anyway, and that's completely fine. But we aim to kind of quash the spotlight with projects that we bring value to. And yeah, I mean, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thanks for, explaining that in details. So seems like you actually focused on providing value. What enterprises or what sectors should be showing interest, and would you be supporting devs who intend to, will I say, integrate your API into maybe whatever they are building?
Yeah, so first of all, on the API integration or API method, we have a section already on our documentation for that. So that's available, including all the steps and code and so on. So that's that part. The other part, in terms of the actual utilities, we specifically intentionally are kind of putting that on the download at the moment. I can't really reveal too much information about that at this stage. But I think as we get closer to the end of this week, or maybe early next week, if you just please follow our Telegram at least, or any of our socials, especially maybe Telegram or Twitter, we will be releasing some information on those as we get closer to that.
Yeah, I just followed your Twitter. I think I just forgot to turn on notifications. Give me a second. Yeah, good. I have my notifications for your page turned on now, so I'll definitely receive any insights that I need in regarding that when you provide relevant updates in that area. The next question I have is when you said those, okay, we talked about scalability concerns. On your white paper, it stated that Remix, an open source Ethereum IDE, can be utilized for writing, compiling, and debugging Solidity code. I wanted to understand if these codes are deployed using Remix undergoes scanning with your built-in network scanner. I think you touched on the point where you make updates to resist security patches daily. So I wanted asking, when this network scanner, does it detect any anomalies and bugs? And how frequent is this update process?
It's every week, so it's not every day, it's every week.
Ah, okay, all right. So,
Unless, unless,
uh,
unless, of course, unless there is something that we need to deploy, like a hot fix, in which case, yes, that's obviously top priority, and we handle that on a top priority basis. But in terms of general patches, whether security or otherwise, it's at least right now planned for every week.
okay, are bug bounty programs open?
Sorry?
I'm asking, are bug bounty programs open?
Yeah, I think Glenn mentioned that earlier. So we may have some information on that very soon. So that's going to be one of the things you can keep an eye on our socials. We are kind of discussing that right now, and there will be information on that coming.
All right. The final question I have is validator nodes. You already made mention. I think you guys talked on the prerequisites for the validator nodes. I wanted to ask the validators. Do you know the validators internally, and can people request to be validators? Do you already have enough validators as it is?
Yeah, 100%. So you can definitely request. We have an email, and the email is we can post it in the chat at the end, or I can share it with you. Maybe I'll ask the team to share in our chat the email to apply to be a validator. We have about 4 to 6 right now set up. There's going to be obviously more, and we have people who have been applying already this week and last week since we launched, essentially, and preparing themselves in terms of holding supply as well. And the team has been in touch with them. I quickly want to mention one thing, that we have 4 nodes, and if one node is offline, we have 3 others. So that's, and they're different locations as well. And our APIs are public. So this is information that the team, the dev team just dropped. So if that benefits you.
Okay, so worst case scenario, all the nodes happen to go down, which is impossible, but it's just putting a worst case scenario here. Are there validators that are standing by in place to, take up the charge when these validators go down or go rogue? Let me put it that way.
100%, 100%. So we are going to make sure to have a sufficient contingency plan with a number of validators before we start rolling out the projects on our mainnet. I mean, like you said, it's kind of impossible to happen, but we're definitely going to make sure we have enough validators in place. We already have quite a few. And if you want to apply, please do so. The email, if you want to note it down, I just got it from the team. The email is info, and it's also on our website. It's info@bit-rock.io. So that's the email you need to contact if you want to apply to be a node validator.
Yeah, sure. I'm pretty sure people like interested in it, like myself, have definitely taking notes. I saw the emails in some place in your website. So even if I do not remember, I can listen back to the spaces, or I can just go back to your website to get it. I really appreciate the feedback you gave me during in answering my questions. I appreciated the detail that you put in place. You guys definitely are building something big. Wish you guys the very best. And I really hope that the Bitrock and its ecosystem, together with all its affiliated programs, stay bullish moonward. Thanks a lot for answering my questions. Over to you, Glenn. Thanks, Glenn.
No worries, my pleasure. Thank you so
Thanks.
much for the questions. I think maybe you kind of consolidated a few questions that maybe a lot of people that have had. So that's great. And one very, very quick detail I just wanted to add is that our nodes also have an automatic backup procedure running. So we have that level as well of security.
Okay, thanks very much for your question, Captain. And I was wondering how you're going to ensure the liquidity of the cryptocurrencies available for swapping on the Bitrock DEX.
Sorry, Glenn, you cut off again. Can you repeat
Yeah,
that?
I was wondering how you're going to ensure the liquidity of the cryptocurrencies available for swapping on the Bitrock DEX.
Okay, gotcha. So you're asking ensuring sufficient liquidity. I mean, it's as with, of course, we have, again, with the projects that we are launching, we have free LP that we're giving. We have enough of the supply that we allocated for the bridge or for the mainnet tokens as well. And we also, essentially on the east side, if you're talking about liquidity there, we have the 1% going to the buy and sell on the to the LP through each buy and sell as well.
Okay, got you, procrastinator. Next up, we've got Adrian. You had a question for procrastinator. Go ahead.
Hang on a second. I yield my time.
Oh, I'll pass on to someone else and come back to you, Adrian. We've got Venice here. Venice, you had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Glenn. Okay, I read about Bitrock's multi-chain DEX that allow users to trade directly on native chains with gas fees paid in Block tokens. So how will it maintain efficient liquidity across multiple chains without compromising user experience or price stability?
Yeah, so part of that, and that's a question that I will refer to to the development team, and I'll get an answer for you. But from my side, what I can tell you is part of it is making sure that our block times are what they are, to make sure that liquidity doesn't change drastically throughout the transaction cycle. But that is a great question. I've already asked it to the team. I'll get you an answer if you could kindly join our chat. And we'll get you an answer to that question immediately.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, and with the token builder, Web3D app allowing users to create Block 20 tokens, what are the plans to address potential concerns about the proliferation of low quality or scam tokens, and what measures are in place to ensure a robust and secure token creation process?
So if I got your question right, for the most part, it's very difficult for us to, or for any blockchain really, to control, or hinder, especially at the beginning stages, the launch of tokens on the chain. We do want to make sure we have the best rep that we can at the start. So we're offering incentives for teams, and we are approaching teams as well of existing projects and project ideas that we got through contacts. And the aim here is to give them incentives to partner and launch on our blockchain. And part of the goal is to make sure that the spotlight given for projects launched on our blockchain are the projects that do have value, that have potential, that have safe teams, and so on and so on. So any other kind of token that may launch and go rogue is something that is very difficult to control. But essentially, we won't give it the light of day. So, focus on projects that we at least publicize and that we partner with, because those have the highest chances of success. And at the same time, it all adds up to kind of proof of concept, making sure that our blockchain is running and is what we say it is, and so on. And we have a tool that we're currently building as well in mid development, and it should be done very soon. It's a project dashboard, and it will be synced with the token builder or the token launcher on our blockchain, where you'll be able to view different metrics and different stats on the different projects that have launched on our blockchain. And you'll also be able to see things like the level of KYC or doxing that's been done by the team, the LP lock percentage, the LP lock period, the market cap, number of holders, how long the project has been out, if the contract, different kind of, it's kind of an advanced, it's not just kind of one of your typical run-of-the-mill token sniffer kind of things. It also has some more advanced stats and metrics as well. So this is one of the tools that we're going to be essentially implementing on our blockchain to make sure that our investors are able to make as much informed investment decisions as possible.
Okay, that's really good. And you just mentioned about nodes being automatic backup. So with frequent automatic backups, how does the platform handle the potential increase in storage requirements, especially for large-scale network nodes? Could this lead to resource constraints or increased operational cost for node operators?
Not really. I mean, the hardware that we have hardware in place as well to make sure that any storage requirements that may need to be met are met, and those were part of our testnet testing as well. So we don't anticipate any issues there, if that answers your question. At the same time, it is important to have the automatic backups because on a blockchain level, things can change very quickly. So we want to make sure we have as many up-to-date backups as we can. And if there turns out to be any possible inefficiencies or optimizations that need to be done to this, we will take action on them as soon as possible.
Okay, and with the near zero gas fee, what are the plans in place to sustain the network's operation in the long term without traditional transaction fee as a revenue source? And are there any alternative mechanisms in place to ensure the network's financial sustainability?
Yeah, so I mean, we don't really have any, in terms of financial sustainability at least, there's no fees that are taken on our blockchain. It is purely just gas fees. We have sustainability in other methods. We have, referring by the way to your last question very quickly, we have node monitoring as well. I'd like to just recommend if you could, this question that you just asked, if you could kindly drop it in our chat right now. We're going to have someone from our dev team reply to you on that as soon as possible. And please put it in public so that anyone who has questions or similar questions to the one you just asked can reply to that as well.
Yeah, I'll surely do this. And thank you so much for answering my all other questions as well. It's been really a nice presentation. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And I just want to, sorry, Glenn, just very quickly, I want to mention, guys, that I do apologize if some of the more technical questions, you're not getting the answers or you're not getting the exact answers that you are looking for. I want to make sure to let you know, the development team can give you the answer to all these questions, the ones that I have not been able to answer. We do not shy away from any questions. We don't run away from any questions. So please go and publicly drop your questions in our chat. And our dev team, whether I think the chat might be muted right now, but please just wait until the end of the AMA and drop your question in the chat. And I will personally tag someone from the dev team to get back to you on these immediately.
Okay, great, Procrastinator. Yeah, I'm not a tech sort of person either. You have your speakers for the AMAs, and if you go to sort of too in depth, then it doesn't help sort of people on too technical. But yeah, we can answer them questions after. You can get to the Telegram from Bitrock's main Twitter account here. Let's go to. We've got another hand up. Nida, you had a question for Procrastinator. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Glenn. I read that Bitrock utilized the IBFT 2.0 proof of authority consensus algorithm. How does the network handle potential vulnerabilities related to centralization as proof of authority relies on a limited set of approved validators?
Yeah, it does rely on approved validators. But those validators, even though they have to be approved and they are added, they are completely decentralized. And there's no specific centralization or governance requirements to having those validators. At the same time, there's the whole idea of the blockchain is built around decentralization. So we don't really have any plans for any type of centralization on the blockchain as of yet. And again, please drop that question for a more detailed answer on the chat as well, kindly, please.
Okay, and could you provide more detail on the process of adding new validators to the network over time? How does the team ensure a fair and transparent selection process, and what criteria are used to approve account as validator?
Yeah, so essentially, if you meet the technical requirements, as well as the supply requirements, and in terms of the supply requirement and staking, it is made to be fair. So the percentage of the supply that you would have to hold to be a validator would change. It's not going to remain even when we do publicize it, close to when the bridge is done and the projects will be launching. We will publicize the initial percentage of the supply that you would have to stake or hold. At the same time, as we grow, we are ensuring that the percentage kind of proportionality level of the percentage of the supply that people held to be validators from the start is equalized as we grow in market cap. And everybody has an equal chance. There isn't any other hidden criteria to becoming a validator. Just making sure that you're able to contribute positively. And we do have rewards for that. As I mentioned, you are rewarded in Rock tokens, Bitrock tokens on the mainnet. And again, you have staking in terms of APY as well. So there's a lot of measures to entice people to become validators, and our criteria isn't too prohibitive. So at the same time, we're trying to make sure that it's as fair as possible for people who may apply to be validators later on in the process, who may so choose, whether they come to find out about our blockchain later on, or who may be waiting on the sidelines to make sure that everything runs fine and then apply to become a validator. So it's going to be a very smooth, fair, and transparent process.
Okay, great. And what are the strategies or plan to attract and retain developer talent to build on your platform, especially with increasing competition in the blockchain development space?
Yeah, so I've referred to this multiple times during the AMA. We do have rewards and incentives for development teams to come and launch on our blockchain. At the same time, from their side, they have to be willing to provide a certain level of security, meet certain security measures and transparency measures, have a proof of concept, make sure that they have kind of more value projects rather than just, for the sake of launching projects on our blockchain. The full list of incentives, rewards, requirements, and so on will be published in the coming days. So please keep an eye on that on our chat.
Okay, thank you so much for answering, and thank you, Glenn.
Thank you very much, Nada, for the questions. Well, unfortunately, we're running out of time, but it's been great speaking to Procrastinator at Bitrock. The project, some exciting things coming for the future. So we do recommend check out the website, the white paper. If you've got any questions, you can go through the Twitter and get to the Telegram. Like Procrastinator said, any technical questions or anything else you want to know about Bitrock, I'm sure the team will be able to answer that in there. And as we say, WorldCoin Talk Spaces is for research and education. It's not financial advice. So do your research, like I said, the website, the white paper, and go and have a chat with the team and community. And thank you very much for coming today. It's been great speaking to you, Procrastinator.
Thanks so much for having me, Glenn, and the team as well. We're very grateful to be able to have the space and discussion today on your platform. WCT has been one that we've had our eyes out for a bit since we launched, so we're glad we can make this happen. I'd like to just end with two things. The first thing is, again, I want to reiterate to make sure that anyone who had questions that were not answered, whether we got to them or whether I did try to reply to them, but couldn't based on what you were looking for, please go and drop your questions in the chat, join our Telegram, drop them publicly, and the team will get back to you on them because there may be others who have the same questions as well. And secondly, I want to reiterate the fact that we're only about 9 or 10 days old, I think, right now. And, we have had a decent run in the last few days. And the chart might look a little bit scary in a good way because, we've reached, millions of market cap. But at the same time, I just want to make sure that people understand that this is a stealth-launched project. And the same, essentially the same type of project that may be launched through VC backings or pre-sales or private sales or so on may start at higher market caps and then reach exponentially higher market caps. Our goal in that aspect was to give the average retail investor with fairly average or limited capital in the market to enter something that we aim would compete and surpass other competitors in the market at a much more attractive entry point when you compare the starting points of the two. So take that with a grain of salt, do your own research. We encourage you to check out the resources on our website, look into our project, come ask questions in the Telegram, interact with the community. And if you like what you see, we'd love to welcome you to the family.
Okay, great, Procrastinator. That just raises one more question. I was wondering why you chose a stealth launch. Is it because of the SEC and the securities issues, so it'd be less of a problem with an IDO?
That was part of it. There's I mean, that obviously is a part of it, but at the same time, the main rationale for that was because a lot of tokens that do that are L2 sidechains that end up launching with or at much higher market caps on centralized exchanges right away with venture capital backings and or private sales and or pre-sales or seed phases and so on. It kind of increases the chances, or it worries certain types of investors a little bit to kind of think of the idea of getting overinvested and then have someone with a much bigger wallet or token allocation that they may have even gotten for free dump on them or sell or hinder the growth of the chart or of the project. So we wanted to eliminate any uncertainty of that and not have anyone worry or even have to deal with questions on that, really. Well, how much was given the private sale? How much was given this? How much did the VC invest? So that, plus the fact that we're giving people a much more attractive entry point and a much more potential for a higher ROI, return on investment, for whatever they do put into the project. And even at the market cap that we're at right now, which is around 8.3 million right now, there's a lot more growth that we are aiming. We don't really consider ourselves to be anywhere near where we should be or where we want to be. We have the infrastructure in place to achieve what we want to achieve. We have the people that we work with in place to achieve what we want to achieve. We have the tools, we have the catalysts, and in terms of a roadmap, there's a lot more to look forward to than what has been accomplished already to make sure that by the time that we do achieve those milestones and add more milestones to our roadmap, because there is more to be achieved and more will be added, we want to make sure that people can look forward to a long journey of growth rather than just a quick 2 or 3x.
Okay, fair enough, Procrastinator. It's been great speaking, and thank you very much, and take care.
Have a great day, Glenn. Thank you so much for having us.
You too.